Was that Tyler Shough? Because I am Tyler shocked. I am Tyler shocked that just happened to the Panthers. They couldn't have drawn it up better. They couldn't have attacked this team with a better game plan. The Saints, they knew exactly where the Achilles heel was. They knew where the jugular was, and they attacked. They attacked. And we're going to talk about the quarterback. It's amazing how weak, how fragile the Bryce Young takes are. It's amazing. It's like one really bad game, one game that resembles week 1 and week 2. Everyone is out the door on the quarterback. I've been here the whole time saying there's no vertical passing game. I've been here the whole time saying that will be the Achilles heel. Unfortunately, the Saints proved that there might actually be a couple more weaknesses, particularly on the Panthers defense. They went over the top. Chris Olave had the big touchdown score. Tyler Shough looked really good throwing the ball downfield. And the fact that we're 3 years into the Bryce Young experiment with a little bit of envy towards the Saints quarterback, this 26-year-old rookie that they took that 31 other teams laughed at. The fact we're looking at the abandoned shopping mall, which is the New Orleans Saints roster. A bunch of older players who probably won't be in the league that much longer. Clearly a team in a rebuild. And they looked by and far like the better football team on Sunday. That stings. That stings. And I think a lot of this was about the quarterback. The Saints did everything in their power to make this a game, which was Tyler Shough versus Bryce Young. We don't care if we average 3 yards on the ground. Well, you're not going to run on us either. We're going to load the blocks. We'll let you go one-on-one over the top all day. Try it. Try it, Dave. Try it, Bryce. Try it. You're not going to run the ball on us. We don't care if you stop the run when we're on offense. We trust Tyler Shough more than you trust Bryce Young. And that was what this game was about. We think Tyler Shough is better than Bryce Young. And I do give credit to Brandon Staley because I think he knew how to attack the Panthers' offense. Kellen Moore knew what he was doing from a game planning perspective on offense. I think he knew that the Panthers could not get home. And despite losing their tackle to Los Angeles, Trevor Penning, the Saints roll out a third-string tackle, and I give Kellen Moore all the credit in the world for this. I did not think he would have the balls to do it, which is drop Tyler Shough back and let him just move around and do his thing and be a magician back in the pocket. And that worked out for him. I mean, what are the odds of that? The Panthers' edge rushers could not get home. They did have one really good sack from Trevin Wallace, and Scorton did have one, but I think they should have taken advantage of Asim Richards a little more than they did. The Saints have their third-string tackle in the game. This was an offensive line. I think they gave up the 12th most sacks coming in the NFL, coming into Sunday's outing. And the Panthers really, they were there, but they couldn't get home on Tyler Shough, and he was unafraid. 282 yards. He looked like Joe Montana. Throwing the ball downfield. They were unafraid. And they were unafraid to test these corners who I think in that New York Jets game earlier this season gave the Saints a little bit of faith. As in, will we see Tyrod Taylor going over the top on this defense? And yes, J.C. Horn is making interceptions and Mike Jackson, he actually is making plays too. But we have a quarterback that we trust. He can get the ball. He can get the ball over the top. He can put a little bit more on the ball than maybe Tyrod Taylor can. And when you give these wide receivers, especially Chris Olave, half a step, then they're going to make plays. They're going to make plays if it's not the New York Jets crew of quarterbacks. The last team to dare to go over the top on the Panthers defense. Jordan Love did it too, but it was also freaking windy as heck in Lambeau that day. So now you have a game where it's like you have a quarterback, I can't believe to say it, but Tyler Shough, who you have faith to push the ball downfield, he's going to take advantage of maybe a step or two that the Panthers corners are giving them. And it's just all a microcosm of the same idea, which is they knew how to attack you. They were not afraid to go over the top. They were not afraid that they were playing with some right tackle no one's heard of. And I think they caught the Panthers completely off guard. I think the Panthers were prepared. I don't think it was a lackadaisical outing from them. Like, I don't think they gave up and it didn't take the Saints seriously. I didn't take the Saints seriously. You can accuse me of that. I think the Panthers took the Saints seriously. But they just knew how to attack you. And for Kellen Moore to watch the front office completely sell this season away and really just not care even about protecting the quarterback. Like, here, Los Angeles, take our starting tackle, just give us a 4th rounder. For him to come back and pitch up that game plan and really attack the Panthers in, I think, a way that was unprecedented. Matt LaFleur asleep at the wheel last week. Most of these other teams, McDermott had a good game plan against the Panthers. But a lot of these teams that you've ran 200 yards on, Brian Schottenheimer could not care less about that Cowboys defense. Mike McDaniel, you know the story with him and the Dolphins. You got to give credit to Kellen Moore. You got to give credit. He clearly wasn't buying an Airbnb to go on vacation at the end of the season. He's not planning the postseason vacation. No, he's still driving. He is in full force behind the wheel of that Saints game plan. And they looked ready today. They had Bryce Young looking pissed. Sheena Quick on X, she goes, the most pissed I've seen the Panthers quarterback. Pissed. He's pissed. Here's Bryce Young after the game.
What happened on the handoff to Jimmy that resulted in a fumble?
Again, just not executing. Again, it touched my hands. I fumbled the ball. That's on me. I always take that. Jimmy came up to me and took accountability because that's the type of competitor and the person he is. But again, it's at the end of the day, I'm the guy who touched the ball. It's on me. So
I share that clip specifically because Bryce Young attributes the fumble on that drive where they give the end around to Jimmy Horn, and it's just a botched handoff. And I honestly, on the live broadcast, thought it was Jimmy Horn's fault. I thought he was the one to blame. It looked like his hands were a little bit disconfigured when he took the handoff. It just didn't look conventional. But I guess Bryce Young maybe missed the read and Horn wasn't ready for it, whatever. But I wanted to share that clip because Bryce Young is taking all the blame for everything. And he's giving like these 3-word answers in his post-game press conference. He's clearly upset. He's angry. It's the most mad we've seen him. And part of me looks at this and we're going to blame the quarterback's talent. And a lot of people are doing that. I think the less lazy take is maybe Bryce Young is just overthinking this whole thing. And I think Dave Canales has kept the training wheels on Bryce Young the whole season. I think it's clear as day the quarterback's not playing loose back there. And we can say it's an issue of talent, and we're going to go into that in a minute. But I think one point really stands out to me. Bryce Young looks like everything is coordinated, everything is scripted. He needs everything to be going right for him to make a play. And I don't think that's anything to do with talent. In my opinion, that is, well, he's scared to make a mistake. And I feel that they've overanalyzed the entire offense. It looks like when he's back there, he's scared to maybe make some of those plays that he made last season against the Falcons, where they put up 44 points in overtime. He's scared to make some of those plays against those games that meant nothing against the Eagles and Chiefs. And the Bryce Young that I think is really good is the Bryce Young that is moving around in the pocket. He has that awareness of the pocket. Like, he knows what's going on around him. He can outrun a defensive end. He knows when to stay in there. He knows when to get out of there. He knows where to go. And then he gets his feet underneath him and he throws the ball. And that's where Bryce Young has made plays. You haven't seen it this year yet. You haven't. Even that game against Dallas, that game against Arizona, where he had some good statistics. Well, Arizona, he was just taking advantage of a really soft zone. I swear the Cardinals defensive coordinator was in Old Town Scottsdale drinking, because it's like they did not have a defensive coordinator in the second half, clearly. The game against Dallas, Canales schemed some great plays downfield. It was like throwing a penny in the ocean. The wide receivers and Dowdle on one play wide open. The Bryce Young that we saw last year, the Bryce Young that saved Dave Canales' job in 2024, was the Bryce Young that was making plays. It was improvisational, low stakes, and the play call was just the play call. The play call was just the play call. It was just the series of routes. And Bryce Young made up for the rest of it. And we're not at a point this season where that is the case. Where it's still us waiting for Bryce Young to show some of that magic. But clearly, I think you watch him and how he's playing, you have to come away with the conclusion that he's not playing loose. It's not loose. And I think him taking the blame for every little thing after the game, I think that's the byproduct of that. Like it's all on me. It's all on my shoulders. And I'm not executing. Well, here's Dave Canales, Mike K, with a great question on the vertical passing game. So here is Canales on what's holding back the Panthers' vertical passing game. Have not been able to get anything downfield, that Panthers offense. Here's Dave Canales.
Yeah, that's something we're working on. It's just taking advantage of those opportunities one-on-one down the field, and it comes down to just me to you factor and making those plays. At the same time, from a game plan standpoint, I got to make sure we're putting our guys in the right spots, taking advantage of matchups.
I've given credit to Canales all season, and he deserves a lot of credit. You don't have 5 wins without him and Evero. You don't. It's that simple. It's that simple. And this guy, who I think is the Hollister jeans, tight t-shirt with the fancy play sheet in front of him, we all know this type of coach, the archetype. For him to be willing to play smash mouth football and just run the ball and stay committed to the run. He had the 32nd ranked run offense while he was in Tampa, I believe. For him to play a brand of football that I really don't think is his identity. I think if it were up to Canales, it would be a high-flying passing offense. I think that's what he wants to do. So I give him credit for winning in ways that are atypical for him. But to be this late in the season, to be asked about the vertical passing game, and the answer starts with, it's something we're working on. It's like what you say to your boss when your boss asks about a project you haven't started. If someone asks you about your progress on something at work, oh, we're working on it. We're working on it. We have nothing to show for it, but we're working on it. Believe me, like very diligently, we're working on it. We're working on it. It's like that scene in SpongeBob where SpongeBob has to write the story and he just has the word the on the paper, but it's like the most beautiful illustration of the word the. It's like you're writing a whole 1,000 word story and all you have is one word on the page. That is the Panthers passing game. That is the Panthers vertical passing attack. And maybe it's avoidance of the quarterback. It's just flat out avoidance. I fear the quarterback. I don't call plays downfield because I fear the quarterback. Maybe that's how Dave Canales feels. They went with 4 straight 3-and-outs to end the first half. You come back in the second half and you have no real adjustments. There's no real urgency to throw the ball downfield, even when this Saints team is daring you. It's like all the broadcasters are talking about is how the Panthers need to throw it downfield, how they're loading the box. The Saints are daring you, daring you, daring you. And it's like, I give a little bit of merit to this. The broadcasters saying that the Panthers are not getting enough from the quarterback. It was almost as if in that pre-game interview when the broadcasters talk to the coach and, they get insights into the team to help boost the production. It was almost as if maybe they were talking to Canales and it was over a cigar and he said, I don't really trust the quarterback. Because it looks like it. It looks like it. And they weren't able to run the ball and they were afraid to try anything different. They were afraid to try anything different, and I knew this was coming because the first drive of the game, there's a play action pass, and it was one of those play actions where Bryce kind of scrolls out to the other side. And in the past, he's hit some hitch routes to Jalen Coker. He made the throw late in the game against the Packers. Well, this time they do it, and it's a screen to JT Sanders. And Pete Warner, the linebacker, he just completely reads it, knows it's coming, blows up Sanders. It's like a gain of 1 or maybe a loss of 1. Very insignificant play. But on that first drive, you knew the Saints knew it was coming. You knew that Demario Davis and those linebackers, they know where Bryce Young's going to go with the ball. Alontae Taylor late in the game, he shows blitz, drops back into coverage, picks it off. You know that Bryce Young's probably going to go to T-Mac on a hitch there because you've seen it a million times. You've seen it a million times, and there's no threat of the pass. There's no threat of the vertical passing game. There's no threat for Bryce Young to take the top off the defense. You could have done it today. Even if you lose that game, even if you fail, I would rather the Panthers fail throwing it downfield than lose the way they lost today, which is you were scared to make adjustments. That's part of it. I think the bigger part is maybe the failure at the quarterback position. Another thing Canales says there is it's a me to you factor. I don't want to make excuses for Bryce Young. I think he missed throws all day. You go back and look at those 4 straight 3-and-outs. He missed T-Mac 3 or 4 times in the first half. And they were throws that he's made. He's been able to connect on that throw. And I know T-Mac's a little hurt with the hamstring that popped last week in practice. I know Bryce Young, maybe he's not fully recovered from the ankle injury. So maybe that's what's contributing to it. But you have to hit those passes. 3rd and 4, 3rd and manageable. You're not running the ball well, but it's 3rd and manageable. You're not taking sacks. It's not 3rd and 13. It's 3rd and 6, and you can't hit these little hitch routes. Bad balls. Not catchable to T-Mac. To T-Mac, who's touted to have this huge catch radius. How is it not in his vicinity? In fact, Panthers social media is going to make a meme about it. They're going to talk about how this guy can jump to Venus. He can jump to Venus. They make a social media reel about it. This guy can jump so far, it's intergalactic. Still, the quarterback's missing him. Canales does say it's a little bit of a me to you factor. Me to you when talking about the vertical passing game. It's a me to you factor. Clearly, I think he's talking about that play over the top to Xavier Legette. So you get completely bailed out. I believe you turn it over on downs. Or it was the block kick, rather. The block kick. It's a fumble, but you hop on it. The only people that knew that the Panthers actually possessed the ball there was the magical team in New York. They sit in outer space and monitor the NFL games. Gene Steratore. It's like those people aren't on Earth. They say they're in New York. They're probably in the freaking NASA space station. So they're the ones that say, no, Panthers have the ball. Then you come back and you fumble it. I might be missing the sequence of events here, but there's a 3rd and 7. Young throws it over the top to Legette. It's a nice throw. It's not a great throw. It's nice enough. Legette's there. Legette gets a hand on it. And Canales goes, this is the me to you factor. In other words, we're not executing at receiver. We're not executing at quarterback. We just can't connect. Me to you. One-on-one. It's like backyard football. Just throw it up. And I think they should have done more of that today. They should have done more. He needs a little bit of Andy Dalton flair in him. Bryce Young does. A little bit of, it's one-on-one. Let's go over the top. Now, Andy Dalton does it every play, but Bryce Young just a little bit more. Do it 3 or 4 times that game. You might win. You might, or you might throw 4 picks because you don't have arm strength. But I think the one play was there. It was a decent throw. The Legette, who was supposed to be this downfield receiver, he doesn't make a play on it. I think there's an argument there for, if you had another playmaker outside, maybe you come away with a touchdown there. If you're not throwing to Xavier Legette, you're throwing to a T-Mac equivalent. Maybe you come away with a touchdown there. At a certain point, the quarterback has to elevate this thing. at a certain point. But right now, is the offense too T-Mac dependent? That's what Mike Kay asked Dave Canales. Here's the Panthers coach.
I think general pass game success will get the ball distributed, but we have to find that rhythm. And the ball will find guys in different zones, different areas based on where the read goes. We're certainly trying to make T-Mac an emphasis of what we're doing, and that continues to be a part of what we're doing, but we count on the other guys to make those plays as well. But I think it's just collectively where we have to go as a pass game.
Canales continues to be diplomatic about everything. He doesn't throw the quarterback under the bus at all. Young, diplomatic, blames himself for everything. Canales blames himself for everything. This isn't a marriage. This is football. This isn't a marriage. This is football. My gosh, Bryce Young and Dave Canales should just get married because they sound like what husband and wife should be like. It's like they have their vows. Thou shalt not speak negatively about other. Like, what is this? This isn't an episode of Dr. Phil. Like, I want to see a little bit of, the quarterback's not getting the ball there. And Canales, who's going to get blamed for his play calling, I think that's a lot smaller of a piece of the pie in all this, in the Bryce Young saga. How much of it is on the play calling? Well, I just told you, it's because Canales doesn't take enough risks, doesn't let the quarterback go over the top, even though you might think the quarterback might fail, still don't put a cap on this offense. Don't just mail it in. Let him try to take shots down the field. Well, there Canales says, the ball will get distributed if we can go through our rhythm, which I think is clearly him talking about the quarterback saying he needs to go through his reads. He's locked on these receivers. I mean, that to me is clear as day with Bryce Young. It's clear as day. That JT Sanders throw he had on the first drive where Demario Davis picks it off and you get bailed out by Justin Reed, who got like a hand on Bryce Young's face mask. One of those plays that anyone that watched football in 2005 just screams at their TV. They don't let them play anymore. They just let them play. People screaming at their television on those roughing the passers. You get bailed out by it, but that to me, you have Leggett underneath, Coker underneath. It was the same thing. It's the same thing with Bryce Young. That is what scares me. It's the same effing thing. He did it against the Packers where Xavier McKinney picked it off. He gets fooled by McKinney. McKinney drops back into coverage, picks it off because Young's trying to go over the top one-on-one to Leggett. He had Coker wide open on that play. Again, JT Sanders sitting in the middle of the field. There's about 3 defenders around him. Young locked on the target. He has Leggett and Coker going underneath with, I think, 1 guy in coverage. So he's locked on these receivers and he doesn't steer away from them. He doesn't steer away from them. And I think, again, it's that whole over-analysis thing. It's like, okay, this is the guy that I went to in practice. This is the guy. This is the hot route. I'm going here. And I'm going nowhere else. Because this is what me and Dave talked about. This is where I'm going. And there's no ability to adapt. Meanwhile, Tyler Shough's in his second game, moving around in the pocket, unfazed, impromptu throw to Juwan Johnson, 52-yard gain. 52-yard gain. It was a 3rd and 13. They're deep in their own territory. They're pinned back. And he's scrolling, moving around there, finds Juwan Johnson. Unscripted. Bryce Young, he looks a little bit too scripted. It looks like he's not seeing the field. And I think that's a little bit of an insight there from Canales. Like, we need to make sure that we're going through our reads. We're progressing here. And you're not getting enough of that with the quarterback. Another point I want to make here too is that interception by Alontae Taylor. I need to go back and watch the play to see what other options were available to Bryce Young in transparency. How does he not see Alontae Taylor there? Like he literally, yes, he shows blitz, but it's like the ball comes out of Bryce Young's hand after Alontae Taylor is dropping back. So, like, he clearly just did not see Taylor in that sequence of events. Is that an issue of maybe not having that vision and not scrambling out? Not being able to make plays with his feet? Going to the receiver that he's planned to go with before the snap was even made. It's just, I'm going to this guy. This is who I'm throwing to. There's no adjustment. There's no adjustment. Well, Dave Canales didn't adjust either. He should have let Bryce Young take the top off the defense. He should have. But I think a lot of the blame does go on to the quarterback. And this was an Achilles heel for me because you're going to need to be able to throw the ball over the top. I think the difference between this team making the playoffs and not is Bryce Young. And it's always been that way. Like, I'm not selling the Panthers season right now because of this loss. I just think this loss stings so much because they literally identified all three main weaknesses of this team. The Saints knew exactly where you were weak. We're going to throw it over the top on offense. We're going to move around in the pocket. We don't really trust what you have at edge, Carolina. We're going to stop the run on defense. Throw the ball over the top. Do it. What? Bryce Young's going to hit a 75-yard touchdown over the top? No, he's not. They exposed every single one of these weaknesses. I think if a team, tries to copy what the Saints did or goes into it with any level of intellect, they will be able to beat the Panthers. Now, simultaneously, the Buccaneers just got beat on the ground by Travion Henderson. The Patriots beat the Bucs largely in part due to Travion Henderson, who ripped off some huge runs in that game. And I think that's where this offense is at. That's where the Panthers are at in general. Your bend, don't break defense can hold these teams back. You can do enough on defense to stay in the game. And then there's a 60% chance that Rico Dowdle catches fire, that your offensive line is pushing the defensive front 8 yards downfield and you make plays. So I'm not selling this season. I'm not overreacting to this loss today. I just think it really stings in how you lost. Because it was quarterback central. I think this team really is a quarterback away. If you had a coach and quarterback who were on the same page, who at the very least, this is bare minimum. This is all you really have to do. Throw the ball downfield. You connect on a couple deep shots. You connect on that touchdown to Leggett even. Think of the ones that were there to be had. And then maybe Bryce Young limits some turnovers. And you win the game. And you win the game. Well, a game manager would beat the Saints, the 1-8 Aints, the Saints. Hopefully they don't think they have a franchise quarterback. That would drive me nuts. Tyler shocked the nation. New Orleans has found their quarterback. I hope not. That would stink. This is The Tone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have so much more coming for you this week. Stay tuned.